Yeah.
I forgot what I was saying. But I remember being in the kitchen with her. Is that where it should start?
Sure.
Okay. And the early days where I really did not, I mean, I hadn't ever come across anybody that was so adamantly against alcohol. Because, I mean, my mama, you didn't have any kind of alcohol around her. And I don't recall any alcohol around my granny. But when Granny said that they would never even dream of having a root beer because it might possibly have beer in it.
It might have slipped some in.
Well, I mean, just the name alone, that turned them away. Oh, just root beer. So,
And you couldn't have Coke either.
oh, that was
That was
a
the enemy.
sinful.
The enemy.
Yeah.
Because Granddaddy was a Dr. Pepper salesman.
Yeah, he was salesman and route foreman for Dr. Pepper for 16 years. Until they bought the grocery store in Alvadosa in 1946.
Well, why don't you talk about working in the grocery store? What was it like? What kind of jobs did you have? I know that you'd have to sweep the floors. You know, had to put sawdust on them, or
Oh yeah, it was
The old wooden floors?
The red oil-based sawdust. That's how we swept the floors every night. That was really
every night. Wow.
every night. Yes. I think when I was either age 5 or age 6. They put me up on
Oh.
some kind of stand or something, and I checked groceries
Oh, really?
at age 5 or 6. Yes.
And he was accurate.
I believe it.
Granny would be watching over his shoulder to make sure that he didn't make any mistakes, and he never did.
I can picture ZJ doing that.
Yeah.
He would be right at home doing that.
Tell about the hole in the floor that was just big enough for a
The
grate.
grocery store had the old wooden floors. We used, like I say, we used that oil-based red sweeping compound to sweep those floors every night. But just as you came into the store, if you turned to the right, it's where we kept our shopping carts, and then that was the produce section, and then the frozen foods. They were all right there. And right close to where we kept the shopping carts, there was a hole in the floor, just a perfectly round hole.
Not like that.
And Lamar and I got into where we would play a game of golf using grapes and then push them along with our foot. Of course, you had to find the perfectly round grape.
Yeah.
And in most cases, it was the green grapes that you'd find the perfectly round was more than the red grapes. But we played that all the time. We got
have everything in big bins of, like, it seems like we're talking about bins of peanuts or,
I don't remember that.
well, I'm making it up then.
No, back in some of the older days they did, but we didn't sell. You know, like I know in the older days, they would sell like pinto beans. They would be in a big bin. And
Oh,
yeah.
You would scoop them out and sell them. But just in my recollection, back to the 1940s or late 1940s, they were already packaged. So
Huh.
I don't recall selling our store selling anything like that. But there could have been a 3 or 4 year period after they bought the store that they might have done that, but I don't recall
Okay.
when I was involved.
I remember you talking about helping people to their cars with, helping them load all their groceries, and sometimes there were bags in there where they had been shopping in Corpus.
Oh, yeah, or at HEB.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Was HEB already in business then?
Oh yes. Oh yeah. Well, HEB started in 1905.
Oh, I didn't realize
In
that.
Kerrville, Texas. Yes.
Okay.
I think it was actually Mrs. Butt that started the grocery stores.
I thought they originated in Corpus.
No. Well, that was their headquarters.
No.
And I don't know when they moved their headquarters there. They originated in Kerrville. But yes, their corporate headquarters were in Corpus Christi until, I don't know, the 1980s or 1990s. I mean,
Oh.
they haven't been in San Antonio that long.
Okay.
But Dad always had a lot of admiration for HEB because they were a big chain even back then. And, but he said they were good business people, but they were very fair. They didn't try to run their competitors out of business. I guess they just felt like there was room for everybody, you know.
Yeah.
Of course, they were going to get the lion's share of the business anyway, but still, they weren't greedy and trying to run everybody out of business.
Yeah.
Dad had a lot of admiration for them. But it hasn't been. Well, it's been a good while now, but I'm going to say, the 1970s or 1980s. HEB did not sell beer or any kind of alcohol products.
Really?
No, they were. I think Mrs. Butt was really adamant about against that. Because I can remember Uncle Walter then from Valley Mills, right outside of Waco, had a grocery store like we did, and he and his family were very staunch Baptist. And HEB had put a new store in Waco. I remember him talking to Dad, and he said, I heard they put beer in there. I said, I can't believe that. But anyway, no, they did not have any kind of alcohol for a long time, from I guess 1905 until maybe 1975 or so.
Well, where did people go buy beer? Was that maybe not standard in any grocery store?
It really was not. No, because back then, especially the small towns and even the larger towns, the churches dominated things. I mean, the church, the religion and the churches were so strong that
That the blue law.
well, blue laws, that meant most businesses could not open on Sundays. That
Yeah.
was the blue laws. As far as alcohol, I mean, the churches were so strong back in those days that if a business had to put in beer or any kind of alcohol, they would have been boycotted by a lot of people from the religious viewpoint. I mean, it was religion was so strong back then.
Now look at it.
So where did you have to go to buy beer?
Well, there were convenient they didn't call them convenient. They called them
came by the first time.
He's making his quota.
Yes. But it's not hard to do.
Nope.
I know when I went to work for Stop and Go Markets in 1968 in Houston, the top 3 beers that were in Texas at that time in sales were, number 1 was Pearl, number 2 was Lone Star, and number 3 was Schlitz.
Wow.
And then now, none of those have much
You only drink
relevance.
those if you're broke.
What?
You only drink those if you're broke.
That's about right. Yeah.
There's another DPS.
Yeah, Schlitz was the top premium brand, and they were number 3 overall.
Huh. Well, so you worked at Stop and Go. Didn't you work for a U-Totem?
No, it was Stop and Go.
Okay.
U-Totem was a competitor,
Okay.
and we bought Stop and Go at that time. Bought a chain called Handy Food Marts. They were one of the original ones that they actually had a dairy, milk dairy. So they were a chain that originated some drive-in groceries just to sell their milk.
Huh.
And they were one of the first. They were literally a drive-in grocery. They would have one of those where the door, I guess they were like overhead doors that would open, and they would have
Like a
door
beer
on-
barn.
It's very similar. Yeah, they would have a door on each side, and you would just drive up right there to that door. They would come out and tell you, ask what you wanted, and get it for you. And you never got out of your car. So
Yeah. So that was when we were first in Houston. That's where you were working.
I went to work there in October of 1968, and you were born in December of 1968.
And then what made you switch to, was it Coastal States after that?
I went back into accounting. I had worked for Coastal before I went to Houston. I guess it was like the boy on the farm. I needed to go see the big lights in the big city. And that's when I found out, boy, they're bright lights. And I remember Mother and Dad came up to help us and help Susie. And you were born in Herman Hospital in the downtown area of Houston. And we one, I guess Saturday night, or late Saturday evening, we lived up in Spring Branch. And we decided to make a trial run to Herman Hospital just to make sure we knew how to get there, in an emergency,
Right.
so we could get there the fastest way. And just as we got to that downtown area, we have never seen so much traffic in our life. There were cars stalled all over the place, hoods were up. It was just a total madhouse, and we had no idea what was going on.
Yeah.
And then we finally found out that Grambling University and Prairie View A&M, which were both black colleges, had gotten together and made a deal to play a football game in the Astrodome. And they were all going down Main Street to get down to the Astrodome. And about half their cars must have broken down. There was traffic everywhere. It was a total madhouse. But we wished we had not made that trip.
We need to stop and get gas.
I'm going to.
Now, Pawpaw worked at a convenience store at some point too, right?
Well, he did when he closed the store in Alice in 1968, and he went to San Antonio. A man named Sam Young, who was a meat salesman for Cudahy.
Slime
I didn't say that.
bucket. I did.
Anyway, knew of a meat market up in the Oak Hills area of San Antonio. And he helped Burr get started in that meat market. And Burr was there, I guess, a year and a half, I don't know. And it didn't do what he wanted it to do, so they decided they wanted to come to Houston, where we were, and stop and go markets out in the Memorial area of Houston at a very good high volume convenience store that they had put a meat market in, because that was a real fast growing area of Houston. So they thought it was a good deal just to put a meat market in, and it was. And it came open, so Bert took that meat market, and I guess he ran that for 3 or 4 years, maybe, I guess.
Yeah.
Is that the one that got robbed?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where I was going.
I'm going to put gas, y'all talk.
Daddy didn't even know anything about this robbery. He's sitting back there reading the newspaper. Everybody afterwards, running around like crazy. He's wondered, what is the matter with y'all? Oh, and
He was reading the funnies.
he was reading the funnies, sitting back there, had nothing else better to do. And they had one of their bandits or robbers had a gun on my daddy.
Oh, and he didn't even know it.
He never knew.
They were watching him the whole time.
Watching him read the funnies. And after the robbery was over and everybody's running around, and Daddy's, what on earth is the matter with you crazy people? We just got robbed. We just got robbed. What? And there's Daddy sitting there reading the funnies.
Well, you ought to tell about back in his butchering days, about the live pig.
Oh. Well, he decided to go to a pig auction, and he had never been to one in his whole life. And he decided he was going to try a new adventure, buy this hog, or a hog, buy a hog, and then butcher it there in the store, and everything would be hunky-dory. He'd just make a ton of money off of this. Well, they get this live female hog that's pregnant. He didn't know that he bought it. That's what he bought. Or he bid on it and he won it. And he gets it to the store during store hours. And they're all standing there. Well, how do you think we ought to kill it? Well, I don't know. What do you think? Well, I don't know. They decided on a hammer between the eyes.
Who thought of that?
Probably my daddy. So they hit that poor hog right between the eyes, and that thing squealed to the top of its lungs. And customers in the store going up and down the aisles, you know, that sounded just like a hog. And my mama knew what was going on. She was at the front of the store as checker and checking people out. And she's, you know, I don't know. But you're right, it does sound like a hog. Oh, goodness gracious. So I'm not sure how they finally brought that poor pig down. But
So then didn't somebody come in the next day wanting fresh spare ribs?
oh, yeah. Yeah, one of the customers that had been there So they came in the next day and said, I hear you have some fresh pork. I'd like to have. Give me.
I know you got some.
Yeah, I'm pretty positive you got some fresh pork. But that hog, he had bought this hog at an auction, and he didn't know what he was doing because he had never done that before. Well, it turns out this hog was pregnant, and of course that's why she weighed so much, because she had these little piglets.
Oh, so he thought he was getting extra meat, and it wasn't.
No,
he
he
didn't
was-
get a good deal.
He was getting extra little piglets.
I guess you can't do anything with those.
Well, I don't know. A short stack of bacon, I don't know.
Oh, how sad.
I know, poor little piggies. Oh, we all the way home.
Well, well, talk about how you got started teaching dancing.
Dancing. Well, my dance teacher, there in Alice, said, we're talking to both Sue and me, and she says, now you girls, you're the oldest in the school, and y'all we're getting ready to move, and why don't you go into business together and teach? So I was all for it, and I just thought it was just the thing to do. And the Sue decided that was just the thing to do as well. So when we had the whole all wax going, she backs out at the last minute and leaves me hanging the bag, holding the bag. And so here I was. That was the summer of my junior year, and so I'd be a senior the next year. And so I had taken all I needed to do were to take 2 actual subjects, and
In high school still?
yeah, in high school, because I had all my other credits were done, and
So you had like a half day or less.
I just had to go in the mornings, and then I had my afternoons totally free, and so that's when I opened up my school, and the school, we had planned on it being Sue and Susie's, and then Sue bombed out on me at the last minute, so it became Susie. Anyhow, that's
How many students did you have when you started?
oh gosh, I don't know, not many, but enough to pay my rent.
Where'd you have your school? Did you take the building that you had been in already, where you took lessons, or you
No.
got your own place?
No, we got my own place. I don't know why we weren't able to get where Julia, maybe they tore that little house down. It was
Or maybe the
little,
rent was too high, or
maybe so, or maybe it had turned into a different business. I don't know. But she had a little lobby area on one side, and then on the other side, she had a dance room, and she had a daughter that was like a teenager, and she was a smart aleck. And when we were in class, she just would be horrible. We just always shivered in our ballet shoes when she was.
was she the same age as y'all?
No, she was like couple of years older. And anyhow.
And her mom didn't want to leave the school to her? Maybe she knew she wasn't going to do anything with it.
Who knows? Anyhow, but they just plain old, actually they left town, moved.
Oh, yeah, she would have gone. Well, I mean, if she was older than y'all, she could have stayed, I guess.
She could have, but she didn't have gumption enough to do that.
Yeah.
But when we moved here to Seguin, that and Missy, y'all were in the color guard or whatever, weren't you?
I know. No. Maybe Nikki? Nikki was on the dance team.
Okay, Nikki.
What did Jennifer do?
I can't remember. It seems like she was too. She was too. And because Jennifer spoke up something about me, and that Andy, her name was Andy Keepers, was bad mouthing me.
She was in Seguin?
Yeah, she was like the drill team captain.
Oh, wow. What a small world.
Yeah, and anyhow, Jennifer said that's my mother or whatever, and she was still. My school was already successful at that point, and she was trying to trash mouth me.
Wow.
Jennifer defended me, but I don't know where she wound up. I bet because I don't think she did very well in Seguin. So anyhow.
Well, where did Sue end up if she didn't want to teach with you?
I have no idea. She just sort of faded into the woodwork.
Huh.
She talked about, and that was a hidden blessing, because if we had gone in together, it would have all fallen on me anyhow. And I don't know, it was just, that was a blessing that I didn't realize was a blessing, and
Yeah.
for a while, because I had been so counting on her support, and she flaked out.
She was 2 or 3 years older. I mean, she could have been a lot of
Yeah,
support, because you were just starting your senior year in high school. And
yeah.
she's the one that didn't have the guts to go through with it.
No, she didn't. And I didn't even know how to write a check, and Dad helped me out.
You've been writing them ever since.
I have. Although mostly I charge it now.
You do your hair and your nails, so you still write a check.
I do. Well, I charge it.
Toenails, I mean your fingernails.
That I write a check there.
Yes.
That's about the only check I write.
That's all. Normally that's the only ones you write each
Yeah.
month.
So can't think of anything else.
Well, I guess you took a break from teaching when y'all went to A&M.
No, I taught at A&M.
What? I don't remember hearing
where,
this.
You know, first of all, it takes a lot of guts for a young 17-year-old to start a dance school on her own.
Yeah.
A business on your own. And she had that for 2 years, and then we got married and moved up to A&M. And just to tell you how much guts she has, in A&M, she drove over to Navasota, which is about 20 miles away, I guess, roughly from A&M, and just started looking around.
Knocking on people's doors.
Made
posters that I would put all over different towns wherever I was, and I had my little goofy looking ballerina, and
I like your ballerina.
well, I mean, she was cute, and I liked her too.
Well, see, it's a good thing that you didn't have Sue with you at the time, because if y'all went knocking on doors, they would have thought you were Jehovah's Witness.
But you know, I have always, I realized right away that it was a hidden blessing that she flaked out, because it would have been nothing but absolute misery having to deal with her.
A lot of partnerships are.
Oh, she would have been awful. So that truly was a blessing.
That money she made at that dance school was a blessing to help.
While you were still going to school.
Yeah, we were there a year and a half at A&M, and she had that dance school for a year and a half. That income helped us because I remember that 1 month we still banked
Oh my goodness.
in Dallas National Bank. But anyway, we got our bank statement, 32 cents in the bank.
I can remember the panic that we both felt.
Was that about the same time when I think you said that you had given Uncle Bob a check for his birthday for like $10, and he didn't cash it, and then whenever y'all were in a bind or whatever, all of a sudden it cleared the bank and y'all were negative.
No, did we have like 2 pennies? I don't know.
I don't think we ever went.
Okay,
No, yeah, we
That was
had.
probably the most we had 32 cents.
maybe so.
Yeah,
You wiped y'all out.
We were counting on that float for a long time.
Did we ever tell Bob about that?
I probably never gave him another check.
Oh goodness.
I guess we're going through Bishop. I'll show you where that grocery store that Bob had.
Oh yeah.
Bishop.
I didn't realize he had a grocery store in Bishop or anywhere. Wonder if the building's still there.
Oh